The War of the Irish Gods. The Second Battle of Mag Tuatha. In the ancient mists of Ireland, long before the land was shaped into the Emerald Isle it would become, a great war was fought between gods and beings of unimaginable power. This war, known as the Second Battle of Mag Tuatha, would decide the fate of the gods and the land they ruled. It was a conflict between two powerful races. The Tuatha Dé Danann, a godlike people of immense skill and wisdom, and the Fomorians, a fearsome race of monstrous giants and dark gods who embodied chaos and destruction. The Tuatha Dé Danann were a divine race, descended from the goddess Danu, who embodied the spirit of the earth. They arrived in Ireland from the otherworldly realms, bringing with them knowledge of magic, art, and civilization. Upon landing on the shores of Ireland, they burned their ships, signaling their intent to claim the land and forge a new destiny. For many years, the Tuatha Dé Danann ruled Ireland with wisdom, led by their king, Nuada Ergetlam, known as Nuada of the Silver Hand. Nuada was once a great warrior, but in the First Battle of Mag Tuatha, fought against the Firbolg, the first inhabitants of Ireland, he had lost his arm. Tradition decreed that a king must be physically whole, so Nuada was forced to step down from the throne. To his great fortune, the Tuatha Dé Danann had the wisdom and magic to craft him a new arm of pure silver, which was infused with divine power, restoring his leadership. However, peace would not last forever. The shadow of the Fomorians loomed on the horizon. The Fomorians were ancient, dark beings said to have come from the depths of the ocean and the forgotten realms of the cosmos. They were led by the terrible King Balor of the Evil Eye, a monstrous figure with a single eye that could destroy anything it gazed upon. His eye was said to be so powerful that it could turn whole armies to stone or burn them to ash with a single glance. Balor and the Fomorians represented the forces of chaos and ruin, ever eager to enslave the land and crush its people under their rule. Although the Tuatha Dé Danann were wise and powerful, they could not entirely escape the grasp of the Fomorians. A cruel agreement had been struck between the two races after the First Battle of Mag Tuatha. The Fomorians had demanded heavy tribute from the Tuatha Dé Danann, who were forced to send them treasures, food, and slaves. This oppression weighed heavily upon the people of Danu, and they longed to be free of the Fomorian yoke. The seeds of rebellion were sown when the Tuatha Dé Danann made Bres the Beautiful their king, following Nuada's injury. Bres was the son of a Tuatha Dé Danann mother and a Fomorian father, and his reign was supposed to bring peace between the two races. However, Bres was not the wise and just ruler they had hoped for. He was cold, greedy, and cruel. Under his rule, the Tuatha Dé Danann were burdened with even harsher tributes, and their once proud and thriving people fell into suffering. Bres's rule quickly became unbearable, and he was overthrown when Nuada's Silver Hand was completed, allowing the former king to return to his rightful place on the throne. Humiliated and enraged, Bres fled to the Fomorians, seeking vengeance against the people who had cast him out. He begged King Balor and the other Fomorian lords to aid him in raising a great army to crush the Tuatha Dé Danann once and for all. War was now inevitable. The Fomorians, driven by hatred and greed, began amassing their armies, while the Tuatha Dé Danann prepared for the coming storm. The gods of Ireland gathered in secret council, and it was there that the warrior god Lugh, the savior of his people, rose to prominence. Lugh, often called Lugh Lamfada, Lugh of the Long Arm, was a divine hero of extraordinary skill in battle, magic, and strategy. He was the grandson of Balor, yet a member of the Tuatha Dé Danann through his mother, Aithne. Prophecy foretold that Lugh would one day kill Balor, but the young god had yet to prove himself. As the gods debated their tactics for the war ahead, Lugh arrived and offered his services. Lugh's brilliance shone as he demonstrated his unmatched talents. He was a master of every skill, a warrior, a healer, a magician, and an expert craftsman. He was accepted into the ranks of the Tuatha Dé Danann's champions and was chosen to lead them into battle. Before the battle, the Tuatha Dé Danann sought to fortify themselves with the gifts of their gods. They gathered their magical treasures, each representing their divine strength. The sword of Nuada, known as the Sword of Light, which could cut through any enemy. The spear of Lugh, a weapon said to be so deadly that it had to be restrained, lest it leap from its scabbard to kill. The cauldron of the Dagda, a magical vessel that could feed an army and never run dry. The stone of Fall, which would cry out under the true king of Ireland.
Meanwhile, the Fomorians, led by Balor and Bress, prepared their forces as well. Balor stood at the forefront, his terrible eye hidden beneath a heavy lid that only his warriors could raise. His armies were vast, filled with monstrous beings, giants, and dark spirits. The two forces met on the plains of Mag Tuaired, where the sky darkened, and the earth trembled under the weight of the battle to come. The second battle of Mag Tuaired was ferocious and chaotic. The Fomorians, with their dark magic and brute strength, clashed with the Tuatha Dé Danann, whose divine abilities and wisdom allowed them to hold their ground. The earth itself seemed to shake as gods, monsters, and warriors fought, the sky boiling with dark clouds and lightning. Dagda, the father of the gods and master of all druidic magic, fought valiantly, wielding his immense strength and power to protect his people. Ogma, the god of eloquence and battle, fought side by side with Lugh, tearing through the Fomorian lines. Yet, for all their strength, the Tuatha Dé Danann began to falter under the relentless assault of the Fomorians. It seemed that victory was slipping from their grasp. At the height of the battle, Lugh came face to face with his grandfather, Balor. The monstrous king of the Fomorians stood tall, his evil eyes still closed, waiting for the moment to unleash its destructive power. Balor's warriors began to lift the great lid that covered his eye, intending to wipe out the Tuatha Dé Danann with a single gaze. But Lugh, quick and clever, acted before Balor could strike. He hurled his spear, the deadly spear of Lugh, with all his strength. The spear flew straight and true, striking Balor in his evil eye. The force of the blow was so powerful that Balor's eye was driven through the back of his skull, its deadly power turning upon the Fomorian army and decimating their own ranks. With Balor dead, the Fomorians' resolve crumbled. They fled the battlefield in terror, pursued by the vengeful Tuatha Dé Danann. The second battle of Mag Tuaired ended in victory for the Tuatha Dé Danann. The Fomorians, though not entirely destroyed, were defeated and driven back into the dark corners of the world. The land of Ireland was free from their oppression, and peace returned to the Tuatha Dé Danann. Nuada, who had fought valiantly alongside Lugh, stepped aside once more, recognizing that Lugh's bravery, wisdom, and leadership had secured their victory. Lugh became the new king of the Tuatha Dé Danann, and his reign was marked by prosperity and peace. The second battle of Mag Tuaired was not just a battle for the future of a kingdom, it was a war for the soul of Ireland itself. The defeat of the Fomorians represented the triumph of order over chaos, of light over darkness. The Tuatha Dé Danann, under Lugh's leadership, would continue to rule the land, shaping the destiny of Ireland for generations to come. And so, the story of the War of the Irish Gods was passed down through the ages, a tale of divine power, heroism, and the eternal struggle between the forces of creation and destruction.